Okay, tonight you were supposed to work on balancing a reaction practice. Um, this is, we did the first one in class together. This is the second one here. We've got C6H12 plus O2. And so let's just take each side at a time. So on our one side here, remember these are the reactants over here. Okay? And so we've got, if I look at this, I've got 6 carbons, I've got 12 hydrogens, and 2 oxygens. Okay, and that's the one side of the reaction. And let's take a look at the other side. The other side has the exact same particles. Okay, this time I've got 1 carbon. And if I look here, I've got 2 oxygens here and 1 oxygen here, which means that I have 3 oxygens, and I've got 2 hydrogens. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look, and now I've got to compare these two. Let me get rid of this periodic table here. I don't really need that. And I can go ahead and compare these two. So now I've got 6 carbons on one side and 1 on the other side. So that means that I need to add a 6 in front of this CO2. Remember, we can't just add 5 carbons. We have to actually change the number of carbon dioxides. So that changes the number of carbons to 6, which matches, right? That matches these two together. But it changes the number of oxygens as well. So now I've got 2 times 6 is 12. Plus 1 more oxygen is 13 oxygens, okay? And now my hydrogens are out of balance, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. I need this to be 12 as the other side is the other side, so I'm going to put a 6 there. That changes this to 12, right? But it changes the number of oxygens. So now again, remember oxygens in 2 spots. I got 6 times 2 is 12, plus 6 times 1 is going to be 18. So now I've got 18 oxygens. Okay, and this oxygen on this side, though, is only in 1 spot. So here, I'm going to have 2 times something has to equal 18. And that something is 9. So I've got 9 oxygens there. Oops, I'm sorry, I got 9 times 2 oxygens, which is 18. And that is my balanced reaction. Okay, let's slide up. Try the next one here. So now this next one, C3H8. Let's try this again, 3 carbons, 1 carbon on this side. 8 hydrogens on this side, 2 hydrogens on this side, 2 oxygens on this side, 3 oxygens on this side. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to balance this. So right now I notice that my carbons are 3 and 1, so that's out of balance. So I'm going to have to throw a 3 out in front of CO2. Now that changes the number of C's to 3, but it also changes the number of oxygens to 3 times 2 plus 1, which is 7 oxygens. Okay, so far so good. Hydrogens, we've got over here, we've got 8, and over here we got 2. So I'm going to need to throw a 4 out in front of this one. So I've got 4 waters now, which changes hydrogen to 8, so that balances these two, right? So now I got 8 and 8. But now I've got 3 times 2 is 6 for the oxygen, plus 4 times 1, so 6 plus 4 brings me to 10 oxygens. So now, because there's a 2 out in front of this oxygen, okay, and I need to get 10, I need to figure out what number to put out in front, and that number will be a 5, which will change this oxygen to 10. And now you'll notice that now I've got 3 and 3, 8 and 8, 10 and 10. Okay, let's try the next one here. This one doesn't involve carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. There are other kinds of reactions, so we kind of want to keep that in mind here. So Mg, we've got 1 Mg, 1 Mg. 2 O's, 1 O. So we were pretty close to being completely balanced right off the bat. This might be a little bit easier, actually. So now this time I've got 2 here, 1 here, which means in front of this, I'm going to put a 2. Now that's going to change the number of oxygens to 2, but it's also going to change the number of magnesiums to 2. Which means now my magnesium, I've got 1 magnesium here and 2 magnesiums over here, which means I'm going to put a 2 out in front of magnesium. And now that reaction's balanced. Let's try one more of these guys. Okay. This time I've got 1 Al, 2 Cls, 3 Cls. Okay, this one's a little tougher. Okay, so this time I've got to take a look. This is 2 and this is 3. So I could put a 1.5 in front of this and get it balanced, but that's going to be a little tricky. So I know that there's a common multiple of 2 and 3, and that is 6. So now if I put a 2 out in front of here, that changes this to 6, changes my ALs to 2. Okay. Then I can put a 3 out in front of here, which will change this to 6. And I can put a 2 out in front of AL, which will change this to 2. And now I've got all of it in balance. Okay? All right, hope that helps. I'll see you guys tomorrow.